Welcome to the DeFi Standard. This is Patty XRP and Mickey, you're muted. Seems like we have some technical difficulties with Mickey. Let me just message him real quick and then we'll get going. So, Mickey, you're also muted if you can't hear me. Apologies, everybody, but we'll get into this in 1 second. All right. Well, while Mickey figures that out, I'll go ahead and start off with the first portion of what we want to get into today. So with that, I'm going to use this document that I received, or just a little infographic from somebody in the Flare Finance Discord that I was talking to this morning, and they were kind enough to share this. So very much appreciate that. And this will kind of explain some of the asset flow on all of these different modules and protocols that you're able to use on ExFi version 2 once it launches. And before we get into this, I just want to say, ExFi is an experimental network. It's only semi-audited. So any money you put on the platform, is maybe at more of a risk than it would if you waited for the entire thing to be audited and it launches on Flare Network as Flare Finance. So, take that into account with your decision on how much money you want to put at risk. There could be, smart contract bugs or some, different issues that result in you losing money. With V1 rolling out, since they decided to pull it back, people that had taken out collateralized debt positions, or nests as they call them on the platform, they suffered a little bit of loss on swapping back from the Songbird token to the Canary dollar, because the liquidity pool didn't really have any arbitrage routes set up between Bitrue to keep the prices in line. So just realize that, and we'll be good to go. So now getting into some of these ExFi modules, the first one is going to be FlareLoans. And with FlareLoans, you're going to be able to, so this will be Wrap Songbird when version 2 comes out. You'll be able to deposit Wrap Songbird in a collateral position. All right, here's Mickey. Let's see if we get him. Hey, Mickey, can you hear me?
I'm here.
Nice.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. We're just getting into some of this stuff with ExFi. So in this instance with FlareLoans right here, you'll deposit Wrap Songbird in a collateralized debt position, which would be a smart contract. You'll be able to earn rewards from the FTSO if you have Wrap Songbird in one of these smart contracts as collateral. And for doing that, you'll be able to take out a stable coin called Canary Dollars. And the system will basically mint new Canary Dollars whenever somebody opens up a new position. And then when you want to close that position in the future, you'll repay back any debt plus any fees accrued to the FlareLoans platform. And then that basically brings the Canary Dollar out of circulation, and you'll be able to get your Wrap Songbird back. And just remember that at all times, you have to keep a minimum collateralization ratio of 110%. And in the case that you get liquidated, let's say, you took out 100 Canary Dollars and maybe you were over collateralized, but the price of Wrap Songbird started falling. Once it falls below 110%, you can be liquidated. However, you get to keep the stable coins that you borrowed. So if you just held them in Canary Dollar the whole time and didn't do anything else with them that would cause the value to change, then you are able to just book a 10% loss, which isn't, the worst thing in the world. Granted, nobody wants to get liquidated, but just knowing that it's that 10% difference between a 1-to-1 backing and 110% to 1 backing. So that's the first part with this. And Mickey, anything to add there as far as setting up collateralized debt positions?
No, you pretty much covered it, and it's a great diagram. And if you haven't checked it out, check out Patty's blog that he wrote on the DeFiStandard.com. It's just a great resource, and we're going to continue to put information on there for the community, because this is a constant learning experience. And I think one other thing to point out here is that this setup right now is just for ExFi. Like, this isn't the full setup for what Flare Finance is going to be on Flare Network. There's going to
Or
be
even
multiple,
Songbird Finance too.
and they're going to call this Songbird Finance, and that token ExFi. Now, I think it's good that we're starting out here with just really one asset, right? And now we're creating, canary dollars out of that, and you get the LP token out of that. Simple, easy, because there's going to be a lot of tokens in the future. We're going to have all the F assets. We're going to have YFlare. We're going to have YFin. You're going to have Spark. And then you're going to have all the wrap tokens. So I think this is a good experience for everyone to participate in V2. Now, you don't have to do this to make money or even profit. Just practice and get used to using the Bifrost wallet and the DApp browser and the Flare interface, Flare Finance interface.
Absolutely. And so, just to add on here, what the risk of doing this is that the asset you have collateralized falls in value and then you get liquidated. So that's the risk here. Like I said, if you keep it in canary dollars and never trade out of it, it would just be a 10% loss, which, isn't the worst thing ever. But obviously something you don't want to happen. Now, where you get more risky is, let's say you get wrapped Songbird and you put it into a collateralized debt position. You get your canary dollars, but then you swap that into wrapped Songbird as well to, leverage up on the rewards you're getting. Well, if you start doing that and the price of wrapped Songbird starts decreasing, now all of a sudden that debt you took out is still at the same level, but you have less capital than when you took it out. So that's a more risky scenario and could result in you losing much more than 10%. But that's all about user journey right there and what you decide to do with the leverage you take out of FlareLoans. And then, so the next part of this is going to be the stability pool. And with that, you can take canary dollars and stake it in the stability pool. You'll earn liquidation profits and wrap Songbird. So as individual CDPs or nests are liquidated and closed out, some of that goes to people that are within the stability pool. And basically what's happening in this instance is that the canary dollars that are staked in the stability pool are being used to pay back any bad debt from a liquidation. So that means your canary dollars are being returned to the system and then basically removed from the supply or burnt. And in return, you get the collateral that is wrapped Songbird. And since it's over collateralized, roughly, you're making somewhere probably like around a 10% profit whenever you trade back one canary dollar. You should get, whatever 1.1 canary dollars worth of SGB is in return. And additionally, for staking the stability pool, you're going to earn DFLR as well. So that's an added incentive to do that. And the reason people do this is because they're keeping the loan system solvent in case some of the people that take out nests or CDPs get liquidated. You can't just have that discrepancy between the total collateralization of the system and how much debt is issued currently. So moving on, and obviously it's just going to be opportunity costs here. The risk isn't really high with doing this. It's just, are you going to make more money holding some crypto asset that, can move around, has volatility in its price versus holding a stable asset? So for me, like the best time is if, like, let's say you sell into a pump and then you expect a retracement and that comes, you could go and stake that canary dollars in the stability pool and it kind of dollar cost averages you into the underlying asset as people are liquidated. So that's kind of how I look at it. Anything to add there, Mickey? No? Okay. I saw you unmute there for a sec. So the next part here is there's going to be a DFLR staking pool that's within FlareLoans. There will also be a separate one on FlareFarm, but we're just going to talk about the FlareLoans here for this portion. And what you can do is any DFLR you earn, you can stake it here, and you earn wrapped Songbird and canary dollars, which is used to pay back fees in the FlareLoans ecosystem. So basically, you're just staking to earn some of the fees of the ecosystem. And obviously, DFLR is not going to have any value until it's traded on Flare Network and goes live as YFlare. So there's really no value with this, and the only way to utilize it right now is either staking it on FlareLoans or in FlareFarm when that comes out. And then moving down to this last portion, which talks about going into, which will be a wrapped Songbird to canary dollar liquidity pool. whenever you enter into a liquidity pool, you have to deposit 50-50 split between the two assets, and that's based on USD value. So if Songbirds at 50 cents and Canary dollars are stable at $1, that means, let's say you wanted to put $50 of each asset in, you would put 50 individual Canary dollar tokens and 100 wrap Songbird tokens in for that to be a 50-50 split. And then for that, you get issued LP tokens. These are denominated FLRX, and all they represent is the value that you have staked in the liquidity pool at any given time. And so with that, when you want to withdraw your LP tokens, you go back to the liquidity page on FlareX, and we'll have tutorials on this stuff when they release V2 and it's more stabilized and like we can actually make some. So just realize that we're talking theoretical right now. So if you want to get back the underlying assets, you have to return the LP tokens to the liquidity pool interface, and then you will get whatever share of wrap Songbird and Canary dollars that you have left. So we'll kind of get into some of the risks and opportunity costs to go on top of that as well. But Mickey, let me see if you have anything.
So yeah, just to add in here, I believe that you're going to be able to use that FLRX token to earn DFLR, right?
Yes, and that's something I'll get into here.
Okay, you can understand. So it also represents a share. It's your share, your liquidity share of that pool. So it's the value of it, but it's also the share. And now it's not denominated like 1 of 100. It's just, they just give you a number of tokens called LP. And at the bottom, it will tell you how much, you have in that pool. So you'll either be like 0.01% or whatever it is. And then that's what you have in there. And then you deposit that into the DFLR staking pool for right now, which he's going to get into. But ultimately, on Flare Finance, it's going to be the FlareFarm. That's going to be where you put all the LP tokens. And I know that's going to be confusing to people who just, entered DeFi, and this is the first time you really did it. But just hang in there. This is why we have ExFi. Practice and get familiar with it.
Yep, absolutely. So touching on FlareFarm, and then I'll go back into the risks of providing liquidity, or I like to see them as opportunity costs. They're not like traditional risks. So with FlareFarm, though, as far as we know currently, they could add things or change things by the time they launch V2. But according to the last documentation they had on it, there'll be a single token pool in FlareFarm. This is not the same as a liquidity pool on FlareX. All right, so with this, people will deposit wrap Songbird into a smart contract, and for that, they will earn DFLR over time. And the DFLR is paid out continuously, and it's like small amounts for a while, and then it starts building up to maybe where you want to claim it. Additionally, as you earn DFLR, there's supposed to be a single token farm pool for DFLR where you can earn more DFLR from it. So since you can't trade your DFLR or use it in a liquidity pool or use it to take out a loan right now, the only two things to do are stake it on FlareFarm, or I guess 3. Stake it on FlareFarm, stake it in FlareLoans, or hold it in your wallet and not earn any interest on it or additional DFLR. So that's your options with that. And then additionally, for LP tokens, which was that FLRX that we were talking about that you're issued, if you want to earn DFLR for providing liquidity to this wrap Songbird Canary dollar pool, then you stake your LP tokens in this pool on FlareFarm. And like I was saying, these all are going to earn you DFLR. So if you're in the wrap Songbird pool or the DFLR pool, there's no risk to your tokens other than if the system fails. So there's no financial risk when I say that. Obviously, we've seen DeFi hacks in the past. And like I said at the beginning, this is a semi-audited launch. So I'm not guaranteeing anybody that something bad doesn't happen. Obviously, this is not financial advice. We're just trying to point out how this stuff works for you guys. You assume any risk that when you enter into any of these applications, that if something goes wrong, you may not be reimbursed for it. So just really please let that sink in and take it into account. But as far as financial risk goes, like wrap Songbird and DFLR, your tokens aren't being used for anything. So in theory, if everything works right, you'll get back the amount that you put in plus any DFLR that you accrued.
That's what I wanted to address. So Frank Soprano in the chat, which I can see now on StreamYard here,
Nice.
asks, if I enter Songbird into the liquidity pool, can I come out with less Songbird? So in the situation where that would happen would be if Songbird's price goes up in value, you would come out with then less Songbird. But now if Songbird's price goes down in value while you're in that liquidity pool, you'll come out with more Songbird. So, that's how you got to look at it. It's basically impermanent loss. You're staying even, basically. So you just don't gain the capital appreciation, but you don't also take the loss on the depreciation. So this is why it's
actually, Mickey, it's still the pool. Loss. So if you imagine that an asset in the pool, so like let's say you have 50 Canary dollars and 50 wrapped Songbird, and all of a sudden Songbird's at $10. Well, the value in the pool is a lot higher, so you still get some of that appreciation. It's just not as much. So let's touch on this part. So this is probably the most confusing thing in DeFi, but it's also like very much a pillar with what Uniswap has done, Curve, DYDX, all these different kind of AMM dexes that are out there. And how these work basically, and we're only going to have one to start. So you'll have Wrap, Songbird, and Canary Dollar. I explained how you have to deposit the assets in there. The nice thing is Wrap Songbird that's in this liquidity pool will still earn you SGB from delegations. So that's going to be really great. Also, you can earn fees from here. The fees are either paid in, are basically going to be paid in the underlying. I know on Flare Finance, they'll have a couple fee replacement tokens, and how exactly that plays in, I'm not sure at this point. So at this point, I haven't seen any fee replacement tokens on ExFi. So people will pay their fee in Wrap, Songbird, or Canary dollars. Those get auto compounded into the liquidity pool. So like, let's say you have a 1% share of the liquidity pool and somebody just did a trade that put 100 Wrap Songbird into the pool. Well, you would get 1% of the fees paid from that trade. And these are happening constantly. And hopefully as volume gets higher and there's more value in the pool, you can make money faster that way. Additionally, with this, you can earn DFLR, which we said above with FlareFarm. You have to go and stake the LP tokens that represent your value in this pool. And those will be staked on FlareFarm. So this is basically 3 different things that you can earn via participating in a liquidity pool. And the reason for that is because whenever you have a crypto to a stablecoin liquidity pool, impermanent loss is much more likely to happen because one asset never moves in value while the other one is changing pretty much constantly. So let's talk about what happens there. So let's say a situation, we'll just say WSGB right now is at 50 cents. I don't know what it's actually trading at right now, but this will make it easy for the math. So if it's at 50 cents and the price rises, then if you exit the pool at any amount that's higher than 50 cents, you'll incur a little impermanent loss, which basically is a measure of the opportunity cost between putting 2 assets in a liquidity pool or just holding those 2 assets in your wallet. So the more one of the assets rises in price, the more impermanent loss is suffered because that opportunity cost has now grown. So it's not really a risk, as people say. You may think that, oh, if I end up with less Wrap Songbird than I went into it with, that's a risk. But also, if the Songbird you earned from delegating, from earning fees, and then also the DFLR you earned, that could also outweigh any impermanent loss that you have suffered, and you would come out profitable over having just held those assets in your wallet. So that's one thing to take into account. And so with this, if the price of Wrap Songbird goes up, then you'll end up with less Wrap Songbird when you exit the pool, but you'll also end up with more Canary dollars when you exit the pool. Now, if the price of this goes down, let's say to 25 cents, then you'll end up with more Wrap Songbird tokens and less Canary dollars if you exit at that price point. And it's called impermanent loss for a reason, because it's only permanent if you, exit. It's kind of like unrealized gains. It's like, oh, maybe XRP went to $10 and let's say I had 100,000 of them. So I'd be a millionaire. Well, really, I'm a millionaire on paper and I haven't realized those gains. So if the price falls back to $5, well, now I only have $500,000 because I never capitalized on that. This is a similar kind of thing with impermanent loss. Sure, let's say the price of Wrap Songbird goes to $2 and maybe I incur a decent amount of impermanent loss. Well, if the price comes back down, it now lessens the impermanent loss. So it's all about that ratio of when you entered the pool. So whatever that price ratio is, if it diverges up or down, then there's a little impermanent loss suffered. I highly suggest going to our new to DeFi playlist because I cover examples with numbers in some of those videos on FlareX and liquidity pools with Mickey. So definitely check those out because it'll give you a more in-depth look. There's some instances where the price goes up certain percentages that the impermanent loss isn't really that bad. And then also the longer you're in a pool for, the more fees, the more Songbird you've earned from delegations, and the more DFLR you've earned. So that's all stuff that helps counteract impermanent loss. Also, price movement is way more volatile than fees and stuff like that. So,
and I still think that word impermanent loss is very deceiving because technically you don't lose any dollar value, when you hit that impermanent loss. It's losing the capital appreciation. A lot of times is referred to as impermanent loss, but really it's the least risky way to actually put your assets to work because you're hedging the downside and the upside, and you're pretty much just generating revenue stream. So this is just a tool that you would use. If you think XRP is going to go to the moon tomorrow, then you don't put it in a liquidity pool. But if you think, hey, we're in a stable market, you want to take some, you just want a steady revenue stream, and the market's not always going to go up in a straight line. So this is how market makers just continuously earn. And like Patty said, those 3 ways to earn will probably cover everything because you're earning the delegations, you're earning the fees, and you're going to be earning DFLR here, and in the future you'll be earning YFIN on Flare Finance at 4 times the rate if you use F assets. So there's a big incentive to provide liquidity to these pools because they're going to be used a lot. You're going to be swapping back and forth, and as the ecosystem gets bigger, so as other applications are built, there'll be composability with these liquidity pools. Since they're the first out there, new projects will bootstrap off these different liquidity pools. So I just think this is kind of like the core of, this is the Uniswap, right, of the Flare network and Songbird ecosystem. So awesome. Just understand the risks and, how do they apply to your situation and what are your goals and at that time.
Cool. So, Mickey, I just want to address a couple super chats to say thanks. So, Futures Bright said, aside from delegation, what else can I do with my Songbird today? So, nothing today. If you don't want to take anything that maybe, changes the value of your assets or you could get liquidated, the easiest thing to do will be put Wrap Songbird in FlareFarm. You'll earn your delegation rewards. How exactly that's going to work with their UI and all that stuff, we'll have to see. So be on the lookout for when they post information, which they said for version 2 that they're going to post a lot more documentation and stuff around it. And so right now, all you can do is earn via the FTSO inflation rewards by delegating. That's the only way me and Mickey are earning on our Wrap Songbird currently. I also would say ExFi V1 is out right now. Unless you really, really know what you're doing, don't touch it right now. FlareLoans isn't even fully open, and the liquidity pool is pretty volatile with pricing. So I just want to throw that. Yeah,
we got another question in there that got that was up top. If you are delegating to a signal provider with your WSGB and you go into liquidity pools, you stay with that, that FTSO.
I don't know yet.
That's what they said.
I don't think we know that yet.
No, they said if you use WSG, if you're already locked in for the week, you're in.
Oh, yes. Okay.
You're in.
Yeah. The next week it could change. Week. Yeah. That's what we need. I said we need to wait.
Well, they said they would give you back WSGB if you put SGB in. I think they're going to be just interchangeable, in the future. But I think the delegations hopefully should stay. So, because that's something important. Because if you're going into a liquidity pool and you're putting your wrap Songbird in there. You don't want to have to pull it out every week to wrap your tokens back.
Yeah, but this is how I think they'll do it, is that smart contract addresses, just like your personal account address on Songbird Network, they have the ability to set up delegations in a similar way. So that smart contract, especially if you're in a liquidity pool, I imagine they'll just set it up where it does percentage delegation so that it auto delegates every time new wrap Songbird comes into the pool. There's not like, if you had to explicitly delegate token amounts, that pool changes the amounts of tokens in there like on a per second basis.
Well, it only matters on the day that they do the snapshot for that week.
Yeah, but who's going to manually go and set how many songbirds should go to each place when there's a, it's a floating time and day. So I want to say just wait for them to put out.
Can't they go by your LP token?
No, we're talking about something else. So I think we should move. But with this, so let's see, too fast for you said. So this is actually a good comment. This is a way to get extra money, but when it's the first time that you learn all of this, you need to really understand it 100%. And I agree. There's like, I've been studying this for a while now, and so is Mickey, and it's very possible we make errors when we do this stuff. So if you're coming in not totally understanding what you're doing and what can happen to the assets you put on the platform, to me, that's something you really should consider before doing it. So let's see.
We're going to talk about Gensler at the end. Don't worry. I see the comments.
Yeah. That's Mickey. Mickey's got a lot for that.
Yeah, I'm a little amped up over that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess an example too of, let's say you wanted to do like, I don't know, some trading type things, and how would you use a liquidity pool like that? A good time maybe to go into liquidity pool is if you think, Wrap Songbird just went through a pump and you've been holding it and you decide, hey, I should sell some at this point and book some profits because things retrace. So what you could do is, sell maybe half of your Wrap Songbird into Canary dollars, then deposit that liquidity into the liquidity pool. And then as the price retraces, you start actually getting more Wrap Songbird back, and you get less Canary dollars. So let's say it gets to an area where you think, all right, this is relatively the bottom. I don't want to play that game anymore. You could pull out and you'd have more Wrap Songbird than when you entered the pool. So that's kind of like a general strategy if you're kind of somebody that follows, prices and things like that. Otherwise, you could literally just put money into the liquidity pool and leave it there forever and just collect fees if you don't care about the impermanent loss that may happen on the underlying assets. Also, I'll add with this, like, if you're somebody only dealing with, like a few $1,000s worth, to me, if you're trying to make like, really big returns on it, it's probably just better hoping for price appreciation than going into the liquidity pool. But that's my personal opinion. So maybe there's people that have reasoning for using low amounts in liquidity pools.
I have a reason. There's the YFIN that you could earn from.
How much are you going to earn, though? That's the question. Versus how much impermanent loss are you going to suffer for what you would have made? So that's something to me that you should take into account.
Yeah, I guess that would be your choice. Yeah,
like market makers are generally not people that have $500. Like they're people with millions of dollars. Now, I'm not saying that for liquidity pools. Like I would just say that I think there's more upside to holding an asset that may go 10x than going into a liquidity pool if your goal with crypto is to make a ton of money in a short period of time. So it's all about like what you're trying to do and how you go about that.
Exactly. No, that's a great point that you bring up there. It's like these liquidity pools, I think, are going to be nice, during a downturn market where there's a lot of just, there's a lot of volume still moving through them. The platforms, matured, and the assets that we held like XRP, Spark, they've all appreciated. So you're sitting on a lot more value. You could take like 20, 30 grand, put it in the pool, and just set up a revenue stream. But I think you're right, Patty. That's a good point to bring up there. It might be too much of a risk just to play around with just a couple thousand or a couple $100.
Yeah, well, it's just like if I sit there and I say, let's say you have.
That's not financial advice.
Yeah. So this is just a theoretical exercise I'm going to do. Let's say you have $5,000 and you could buy XRP for $1 right now, and let's also say that you think it's going to go to $10 after the case is over, which could happen in maybe less than 6 months, we'll say, as a time frame. So, if you bought 5,000 XRP and it goes up 10x from where it is now, that's $50,000. Now, if you want to go into a liquidity pool, you can only use half of that $5,000 to buy FXRP, and the other half has to be used to buy stable coins. So now you're cutting off half of the price appreciation you could have. And then additionally, on top of that, who knows, if you don't have that big a stake in the pool, you may not really earn that much YFIN to begin with. So that may not be enough of an incentive for you. Also, as the price of XRP goes up, you're going to have less FXRP stake in that pool. And the reason this happens is this liquidity pool. So let's say it's like a circle right here and it's split. So you have an asset over here, you have an asset over here. So if you want to go from asset 1 to asset 2, some user has to come in and deposit asset 1 into the pool, and then they take out asset 2. So what happens there, it means now this pool has more of asset 1 in it and less of asset 2. So if the price of FXRP or XRP is going up, that generally would mean that people are taking XRP out of the pool and putting stable coins into it. So that's why it's impermanent loss happening. It's not really based on, like an order book like you would see on Bitrue or Coinbase or even the XRP ledger. It's literally a pool that holds two different assets, and those quantities change over time. Hence, what you get when you pull out changes over time, depending on at what point in time you exit providing liquidity to that pool.
So, this is what we always suspected. Like, they call it decentralized on-demand liquidity here. And, we always suspected that RippleNet had X pools. Remember, I'm not saying they're set up exactly like this, but this is why the price of XRP never needed to be stable, because you could get deep liquidity without having a lot of spec trading. And this is a perfect example of how to get deep liquidity in markets without just counting on just speculators trading back and forth. You could incentivize liquidity in these smart contracts. Now, this is on a blockchain. RippleNet could be doing it, between their different on RippleNet and their smart contracts, how they're doing it. But theoretically, that's possible. And that's why I'm saying that the liquidity that automated market makers provide is technically, unlimited, but it also could have huge slippage if there's not enough, assets in there at that time. But also there's flaws to this. So this is what I'm going to do a video on in the next day or two, that Consensus, which is Ripple's biggest competitor, is kind of promoting for some of their CBDC approaches. But I'll get into that in a video upcoming. The only other thing there, Patty, I want to touch on was the liquidity pools in FlareX. They might not be for everybody because of those things, but there's other protocols. Like, a lot of people use Nexo and they use Celsius and they borrow against their assets. Well, now you're going to be able to do that in a decentralized way on Flare Finance, in the same way that you borrow on Nexo, except you won't have to trust Nexo. They won't have to trust their oracles. You won't have to trust them to liquidate you randomly and then say, oh, we're not accepting this asset anymore. And you could go down to 110%. So for those who do borrow on those CeFi platforms, know that if you wanted to do that, now you have a better option on DeFi with much better, lower interest rates, lower collateralization ratio, and you have all on-chain. You don't got to go to the exchanges to go buy assets now. You could swap that canary dollars that you pull out of FlareLoans right into FXRP and get more FXRP, and you can leverage up. So, you could utilize these DeFi protocols in different ways depending on the market conditions and what your strategy is. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And then there'll be an insurance pool that might be like a super safe, low yield, low risk opportunity to just put your assets in. So there's something for everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, there'll be more stuff built in the future too. So like FlareFarm is a really easy way to get in. And there'll be different ways to do different stuff. So it also, just to say again, it is semi-audited and all that. So please don't, go and put your entire life savings in there. I mean, it may work out for you, but, just realize that. So the one thing I want to address, Mickey, before we go into some SEC, Ripple, all that good stuff, is this website, which we just posted in the chat. So this is songbird-explorer.flare.network. This is something I would have bookmarked inside of your Bifrost wallet. This is the same as like Etherscan for Ethereum or XRP Scan or BitHomp for the XRP ledger. So if you ever have something happen where maybe you're worried about, hey, where did my assets go? Why are they not showing up? Or I just swapped for this thing and I don't know. Come to this address bar, put the address you think the assets should be in there, and it'll show you all in and out transactions as well as the token balances of your account. So that may be a way to stop you from freaking out. So for instance, there was a bug with ExFi V1 where I put liquidity into the liquidity pool, and when I took it out, it gave me back, it wrapped the Songbird automatically instead of giving me back Songbird, which is what I deposited in the pool. So I had like a brief moment of like, freaking out before I'm like, all right, go check the Songbird block explorer. And I saw, oh, it's wrapped Songbird, not Songbird that came out. So I realized that, okay, I did get all my assets back. They're just wrapped now. But also the other thing that's important with this is there's a tab called tokens, and the Bifrost wallet has a feature that allows you to add custom tokens in. So like wrap Songbird right here, I can see the contract address, and that's something I could put into Bifrost. Let me actually see. Sorry, one sec. Let me get this set up so I can actually show you.
Can I just address one quick question?
Yeah,
somebody asked the price of ExFi. Every airdrop is airdropped at $0. There's no price. Every single airdrop, all 4 of them, $0. Okay. Spark $0. Songbird $0. ExFi $0. Yflare $0. There's no value.
Cool. So just to touch on that last point that I wanted to bring up, this blue button down here, the arrow on Bifrost Wallet, if you click it and you hit receive right here, these are all the assets that I've kind of added in on the homepage, at least the suggested ones they have. For DFLR, for Canary Dollar, the ones that they have listed in here already don't actually show your holdings. So that's something I'll have to work on getting the contract addresses fixed. So that's the one they have right now, but it won't show how many Canary Dollars I have. So I had to personally add it. So what you would do is you come down. It's like, it's easy if you type something in because it'll show up higher. Otherwise, it's all the way at the bottom. But if I add custom token, I can select Ethereum network or Songbird network. So in this instance, I can say Songbird. And then I come here and I would just copy. So like if I wanted to see the LP tokens, because I don't have them in FlareFarm, but they're in my wallet, I can come here, I copy this contract address, and then I input it right here and then continue. And then it'll add it onto your home screen so that you can see it there. But I'm not going to go there. So that's basically the process to do it. This is a great, great tool right here. I really like it. But with that, Mickey, let's get into some Ripple SEC stuff. I need to get that video uploaded still in here. So if you want to start us off, just talking about some stuff, and I'll work on that.
Yes. So I think everyone saw the videos. If you did not see them, go to Crypto Law YouTube channel. Yeah. And there are 3 video clips that you need to see, the top 3. And be prepared to be very pissed off and angry, because I was disgusted after listening to Gensler's response. I just don't.
Going, sorry.
Don't play it yet. I want to explain. So Tom Emmer and Warren Davison, this was the first time I've ever seen congressmen grill him. I mean, they went at him with everything, and they brought up XRP. We're going to play that video. But Warren Davison even went into the fact that they give Ethereum a free pass. And they went into asking Gensler, you tell people to come in to see you, and then you do backroom deals like your third world country. So what I saw happening here is like all the things that DAIs are bringing up, Gasparino, the judge letting the community in, the congressman brought that up. And you'll see in this video how they explain how, well, you hurt retail. And let me touch on some other things he said, because there were multiple things that were just straight out disturbing, where they asked him about, did he read Hester Pierce's safe harbor proposal? And he would not answer. He's like, oh, no, I'm in talks with her. And then he asked him again. And he goes, oh, no, I'm going to read that bill. And they asked him again. They said, no, did you read the safe harbor proposal? And he would not answer. And, it's just like almost like he just wanted to ignore it. They asked him straight up, is Bitcoin Ether a security? You testify in front of Congress in 2020 or something that Bitcoin, Ether were considered commodities. He then backtracked and said that's what corporate finance, head of corporate finance at the SEC said, and that's what, he wouldn't even admit it. He couldn't even say it. And I just thought that was just so disturbing that when they asked him that. And then he tried to just make it out everything they asked. Let's play this video and then we'll go into the other parts, because if you haven't seen this, just be prepared.
All right, let's get
to go. Fundamentally, the SEC is here to help protect the public from fraud, and that's why Congress painted with a broad brush.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification. And unfortunately, Congress didn't create the Howey test. The courts did. The same with the Reeves. And frankly, we're dependent on this patchwork of regulation by enforcement. Obviously, there are people that feel that a particular, token like Ether is treated differently than one like XRP, for example, is a matter that's before you right now, because of the same thing. Is it centralized or is it decentralized? Who has control? And I think that really gets to the issue. Congress really should clarify. We've had a bipartisan legislation called the Token Taxonomy Act drafted since 2018. We can't get a hearing on it. It would provide a bright line test that would apply a 50s case law, Howey test, to modern digital assets and provide some of that clarity. But could you, generically speaking, talk about the shortcomings of enforcement actions or even threatened enforcement actions versus the need for clarity, maybe a rulemaking process that would establish a bright line? Because really what you referred to was, well, come talk to us in a one-on-one kind of third world way, where every individual firm cuts their own deals. What the market really needs is clarity. Wouldn't that be better than threatened enforcement?
Well, I actually think that the securities laws are pretty clear on this, sir. And I think that firms should just come in and register. But what's happened over the last 4 or 5 years is they've either chosen not to, or they've stood up in Singapore or Malta or Hong Kong.
was muted there. Any opening thoughts on that, Mickey? You're muted.
No, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, thoughts on that. I was reading the chat. Sorry. He ignores the question. Like, all he wants to do is talk about people coming in to register. And this is what, the whole Ripple case is about. But then he gives it up and says, well, nobody has registered. They all have left the country. Why would you go into the SEC, and try to talk to them when they're just going to try to investigate you? And, I know some people bring up corruption and all that. I just think this is just Gensler's doing everything in his power to rein in crypto under the SEC's regulatory umbrella. And he's overreaching massively. And he's now blatantly just avoiding questions. And he just continues to say that these things are securities. The oranges in the Howey test aren't securities. The court has already ruled that. There's no securities that are out there trading the tokens. That's my opinion. And, Hester Pierce has said that. So with that being said, the way he's talking right now, I do not see any type of settlement if I'm Ripple. The way this guy is treating the industry, I think that the only chance that the industry has, besides maybe ETH and Bitcoin, is for Ripple, is for the judicial system to interpret the laws like they're supposed to do. That's why we have the courts to interpret the law, because this guy's over enforcing it and he's painting a broad brush. Ripple put in the Wall Street Journal, they paid for a full page ad, said, don't paint with a brush. This guy's coming out here and saying, well, we want to paint with a broad brush. I mean, it's like, it just makes you shake your head. I mean, he couldn't be any worse. And I'm going to admit, when we first heard that Gensler was going to be the SEC, and this guy was blockchain, professor, he's got to understand it. He is the worst. I mean, he's just a rule maker. And I think he just wants to just bring everything in, but he's getting pushback. So I just hope everyone sees that what Warren Davison did, Tom Emmer, and I forgot the other guy's name, they hammered him. And now, this is going to get attention. He deflected everything. And the whole fair notice, imagine if Judge Torres saw that. Hopefully she sees that. It's like he can't provide any type of clarity whatsoever at all. And then there was one interesting one I thought Emmer brought up where he said, well, okay, you know what? If you're going to say all these things are securities, well, what do they trade now? What's your guidance now for the trading of these things that are securities? Do they trade on the NASDAQ? Do they trade at Charles Schwab? Like, can they trade at broker dealer? You don't have a framework out for them at all. So you just want to call things securities, and then you're basically just you're trying to crush the whole market and industry. And they accused him of basically creating disorderly markets and harming retail investors, exactly what they're supposed to be protecting. And he then had the nerve to say that's what they're doing. And now the court is seeing that the XRP community has been given amicus brief. Is it called, Patty? Amicus?
Amicus standing.
So friends of the court.
Yeah.
So what that means, I'm sure you guys all heard the lawyers talk, but I'm going to throw my weight on what that means here. And Patty, you brought up a great point. We were talking before this, that the fact the judge let the XRP community and John Deaton in as friends of the court, at the end it says, to influence the decision of this court. I'll let you say it, Patty.
Wait, in regards to what they can do or what I thought about them adding them in?
Basically that there's basically no chance now that we're going to get screwed over.
Yes, that's kind of what I think. Yeah, I feel like it's a sign of that like it's not going to be XRP as a security forever. I feel like there's no chance, which really is all that like us as just, XRP community members want. Now, I have no idea what happens with Ripple, and frankly, I guess I care a little bit in regards to the escrow. That's probably the only thing I care about, but we'll have to see. But I just feel like this is pretty good. Why would she let, John Deaton in if she doesn't see that clearly there are tons of people out there that are really pissed off and think the SEC did them wrong? To me, like, she wouldn't open up that can of worms, even with like the limited status that John Deaton and now we all have with him. But to me, it's just like, it's a good sign, which, I mean, most of the signs from this case, I think, have been relatively pretty good in regards to XRP, the asset. Maybe not, whatever Ripple did. I have no idea if some of the stuff, they did back in the early days could be an investment contract or any of that. So as far as what we need, it seems
there's all out of the country, though. So,
well, yeah, I don't know the rules.
There's that too, but
like that.
Yeah, and the fact that she said in that ruling that this is a very unique situation, how the retail investors are trying to intervene against the SEC, who they're supposed to be protecting. And, she said that there's no case law even for the Stephen reference. So something like this hasn't even happened. So there's obviously something wrong here. And by having Deaton in there as a perspective now, maybe he can't depose and do all things, but in situations now going into the end of this case, we know the SEC is literally going fishing, trying for everything to, twist the truth, twist the thing, make it seem like this, call things digital security, say it has no utility. We have now Deaton in there to rebuke everything they say that maybe Ripple can't, but the XRP community can, like the utility of the assets, the way we use them in these different applications. Those things are going to come out that this is not a security. Some of the Deaton said they don't even know Ripple exists. So how can you say it's the efforts of others? Ripple's been around for 8 years, and the ledger is sufficiently decentralized. So I think that with him in there, I think we have a clear win. I mean, I'm going to be dead honest. I think this is going to go eventually to summary judgment, but I think it will happen in stages. The actual XRP clarity moment, might come at the end. I'm speculating here, but I think Brad and Chris's will be thrown out first. Or if it's not that decision, she doesn't approve, Ripple asks for summary judgment, or Brad and Chris's lawyers on that, because they're never going to be able to prove that they recklessly knew that. And then we got the fair notice decision. So all these things here are about to line up. And I guess I'm going to leave off here with, if you haven't seen the Apex Summit videos from the Ripple X dev, please go watch them. That's really, if you want to know where the vision of everything going is, watch that. Not ISO 2022, standards that are coming with the Fed. That stuff's just hype garbage. The real things that are taking place are right there. But it's like, this is happening now. In 2018, we thought, oh, Ripple abandoned the ledger, the RippleNet, doing all this other stuff. Now they're building everything. I mean, they're going to leapfrog many of these platforms, and especially even some of the smart contract ones with the federated sidechains. Just listen to David Schwartz. I'm going to be putting out a video in the next day or two on this. So we'll go through all the clips. And they go into the private CBDCs. Yes, XRP is going to be involved in that too. It's going to connect to it. It's the same exact software. And then, Patty, we also had that big announcement from the Bank of
Qatar, the Qatar National Bank. Yeah.
So what I found with that was interesting. I searched it, but I found a 2017 pilot that they ran blockchain. Now, it didn't say Ripple in the whole part of the first part of the article, but they went into detail about the other banking partners from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, from that region, all ran this big pilot. They didn't say who, they just said private blockchain. And then at the bottom, it says, Ripple, this and that, about was working with somebody else, a pilot. But it was like right after that paragraph. And now they partner with them. So you see this has been going on since 2017. A lot of these pilots that took place back, 3-4 years ago, now they're coming to fruition to where these banks are ready to feel comfortable with the software at least. And, the RippleNet itself, which, eventually you get them on that. Now they have an infrastructure. And then eventually they're going to want to build applications and they're going to want to do tokenization and stuff. And that's what, XRP is going to be smack dab positioned right in the middle of everything. I just think it's going to take some time. So it's a long-term vision, and it's always been a long-term vision in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's, really exciting that maybe by next summer, or I'll say end of 2022, because I feel like that's safe enough that I could provide liquidity on a FXRP to YUSD pool, and then I could also not have all of my XRP still minted as an F asset, and I could provide like maybe XRP to Ore stablecoin liquidity on the XRP ledger. And who knows, like David Schwartz talked about, things preventing impermanent loss, which I think there's not as big of an effect with permanent loss when you have faster blockchain settlement time, because it reduces front running and things of that nature. Also, we do know that there's a ton of XRP locked in escrow. And I'm really curious, especially with them going heavy into NFTs, DeFi, some of these other spaces, if that escrowed XRP gets utilized in a way to incentivize the community. I think like if we see how Spark is being utilized on the Flare network, maybe works out really well, that maybe we see something like that happen in the future. I at least think it's something that hopefully will be considered by Ripple as far as what they do with it in the future.
Speaking of that, we've talked about this in the past, but these federated sidechains are going to be, anything from an identity verification network to the first one. David Schwartz said they are creating the first federated sidechain is going to have the Ethereum virtual machine part in it. That's what he said. They're announcing it. Now, it's not the CBDC. That's just the federated sidechain. That's the one of them they're building. So they're going to build a couple of these different sidechains for specific use cases. Now, he also said they're adding an automated market maker into the XRP ledger, the mainnet. Well, he didn't say exactly details if that was going to be decentralized, centralized, or how, but what does that mean? You stake your liquidity, you stake your XRP. He said just stake your XRP, Matt Hamilton said, and you earn fees, and you possibly could earn some other rewards. That's where, the incentives of like what you were saying, Patty, that XRP comes into play. Now, those sidechain networks could, use XRP as their token, and they could maybe use a new token, a governance token, for staking, but they use XRP in it too. So you have XRP at the center of all this, but each sidechain can have its own consensus set up. And then on top of that, you have the Evernodes thing going on. So basically you're gonna have all this hosted layer 2 nodes that are going to be able to execute smart contracts. So we always thought of smart contracts, oh, they got to be right on the blockchain. It's going to be Cardano, it's going to be versus Ethereum, versus Cosmos, and that's it. Well, the smart contracts are not only going to be on blockchains. And that was the whole idea with Codius, is eventually they're going to execute outside of blockchains. And Agoric is doing something where they're going to literally be able to do it with JavaScript, which means it opens it up to like 80 million developers to be able to write these smart contracts. And as it becomes easier and easier and easier, even things like Flare, they're going to adopt, new standards, new types of smart contract like execution environments, and they'll be plugged right into the web. So, I don't think that Ethereum is going to be the winner, or Cardano is going to be the winner. I don't think it's going to play out like that personally, and that might, come shocking to some people. Flare is not an Ethereum killer. All right. I think as a community, we need to understand that Flare built this, and their thesis behind it was to bring communities together. It's literally connected to 4 blockchains. It bootstraps off of the decentralization of those consensus mechanisms, literally. And, we can't go around saying it's an Ethereum killer. It's not an Ethereum killer. It uses the Ethereum virtual machine.
Yeah, it's just like, it's so hard to see, Ethereum has some technical flaws, but just like Bitcoin, it's the first mover in the smart contract industry. Also, it has tons of network effects happening. If proof of stake successfully gets integrated, I don't see why Ethereum would just go away. Sure, Flare could maybe be bigger by market capitalization or whatever metric you want to, in the long term. It's just like, that's not what it's going for. I mean, I think a future of many different blockchains that can connect, and Flare has a really, really, Flare has a really interesting way. Mickey, I'm gonna mute you if I can. There we go. Sorry about that loud part, guys. But what Flare is doing is it allows you to mint value onto the Flare network and still have that asset be on the native network, not locked in a smart contract. So, we could see instances where there's blockchains like Algorand, Cardano. Let's see what else, Ethereum maybe in the future. We'll just have to see how it goes, where maybe they want that ability to be able to mint some of that value on the Flare network, but also have some of it still be used on Ethereum for staking in the future. So we'll have to see. But let's see. Mickey, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Exciting times ahead, and Flare Finance version 2 is coming out, or Songbird Finance, and exciting. And I hope everyone's excited that, you see these rewards coming in. I think, I've noticed some comments, and, it's exciting to see yield come in for an asset that you got for free. You airdrop this test token, and, it's a bonus. And we're going to get that. Remember, Flare rewards are going to be 6 times higher than Songbird rewards. But the participation rate might be higher. So just think of whatever you're getting now, multiply it by a few when Flare goes live. So we're going to be experts by the time that comes, and the state connector system is being tested right now. And it looks like the F asset when this thing launches. So if anyone else didn't see it, David Schwartz praised the decision of the Flare team for being responsible and launching Songbird. Well, half the community complained and whined. That was the right thing to do. And I wonder why, because federated sidechains allow a similar thing, to test out new technologies, to be able to, test with real value on them, and instead of just a test net. And especially when you're using, cutting edge new things that are connecting to other blockchains, and, oracles that are bringing data into networks, and, new consensus mechanisms, and, bootstrapping decentralization. I think it was a brilliant move. They were a little late to announce it, but I think it's going to end up being very beneficial for all of us. So,
awesome.
Yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Well, thank you for everybody that joined in today on the stream, whether you're listening or participating in the chat. Definitely thanks for the support.
Thanks.
And yeah, we'll have, once they get version 2 out there on ExFi and it's a little more stable, and there's not the, they had some requirements about how much capital had to be put up for Canary Dollar. to take out a loan. Once that stuff's gone, we'll be making videos on how to do stuff within the different modules on Flare or ExFi, I guess, rather. So, you know, version 2 is not out yet. We don't know the date. They said they give us a 24-hour heads up. And yeah, we'll work on videos when that time comes. But for now, all we can do is kind of talk about it.
Yep. And I know I just saw comments in there. No matter what regulators say, no matter what Gensler says, no matter any of that, this innovation continues to happen. ExFi, DeFi, they're all open source, decentralized global code. Basically, anyone could build front ends. So there's no stopping that. That just is going to go on. He's not going to come and crack down. None of that's going to take place. The only thing is KYC AML. So anyone who tells you Gensler is going to kill DeFi and all this, they don't know what they're talking about because they don't understand it. So this is where you need to be looking. And, you know, XRP, I think, I'm more bullish than ever. Let me put it that way. You know, on price. And I don't do price thing, but after watching the Apex, you know, like they're going to take this thing to the next level and they're going to do it quick. They weren't hiring 80 people, you know, every month. I mean, they must have like 700 employees. Leonidas found out that there's 500 banks on RippleNet now. You know, he had that confirmed in the video. So I was like, wow. So, you know, once this case ends, it's go time. So hope everyone's ready.
Yep, definitely put somebody Photoshop some green laser eyes on Mickey's avatar. And
No.
he'll be ready to go.
Don't jinx me. No.
Well, I'd be jinxing myself too. So. Anyways, thank you, everybody. This is the DeFi Standard. I'm Patty XRP.
And I'm Mickey B. Fresh.
And we're out. See y'all.